Sup. The opinions and views expressed in this podcast are that of our own and Future Bachelor only, and not affiliated with any outside party or entity. This fun podcast may include some adult language.
Future Bachelor Podcast.
Yeah! Welcome to Future Bachelor. My name is Sai.
I'm Veronica.
And this is episode 113.
Yay!
Yeah, what's going on? How are you, V?
Wow, you know, that song is, I remember when that song came out and I'm a big Hayley Williams girl and I went hard in the paint for that song. Didn't they have another remix that added Eminem?
Yeah.
So good.
Marshall. That was a pretty crazy collaboration there. But I don't know why I just came across that song and I was like, this one's a vibey. I'm starting to show with this one.
I love it.
Yeah, and I know you're a huge fan of Hayley Williams, so. And we're in the city where B.o.B is from.
Yeah.
And I was going to say B.o.B was the first person I actually interviewed when I started working in radio and stuff. So
for the company, yeah.
So that's pretty cool, dude. B.o.B, what's up?
We'll tag them.
Yeah, we're going to tag you, B.o.B. But no, this is going to be a really fun episode, a special episode, because later on in the show, we have a special guest, Brandon Mills of Bachelor, Listen to Your Heart fame. He was on this season, and he's on the show with us today. Later on, we'll be talking about, his experience on the show, what life is been like after, and, music. That's what the show is kind of about. So we're going to get into all that later. But before then, V, how has your last week been?
Well, trivia update.
Uh-oh.
My team won.
Okay. Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, well, as I said, I know no one cares. I know no one really cares, but
everyone's
I care.
Shut up with the trivia. Oh, you know what I'm really excited about, too, is that 30-day challenge thing you're done doing, too. I never got to mention it.
I have to say, I know you're a hater on them, but I like them. I like seeing what people put. People message me every single day with different, vibe into whatever I picked, or being oh my God, what a good song, or blah, blah, blah. I had multiple people ask for the playlist that I made of them. So you can take your hate and goodbye.
I'm not going to go anywhere because honestly, I'm hating on myself. I've done calendars like that before and try to keep yourself accountable and everything with all that. So I'm just hating. You know how I do. But it was just I want to see your pictures, and it's just always this flyer, and I'm just man, fuck this flyer. But
fuck this flyer.
But the 30 days are over and it's over. So now we can get back to the real content. But yeah, so you won trivia.
I post a lot. I feel my stories lately so what am I?
All we got to do is post. So
yeah.
Anything?
But so I did that. I also had this past weekend. Okay, this past week, I feel I've been so busy. How I feel in general during quarantine I have been busy-ish. Not running around as much busy, just because there's not really places to run around to.
Yeah.
But I feel this past weekend, especially, so it's grad season, and I shouted people out, and one of my best friends, Alma, she graduated from University CU Denver, so Colorado University Denver. And she graduated, and her boyfriend planned a surprise party Zoom for her. We did a brunch, and then on Saturday, so she was surprised with that one. And then the next day, because she was one of my roommates, a bunch of us were invited to the one that she had a brunch Zoom brunch situation with her family and very close friends. So me and her other roommates and her family were on it pretty much.
So you spent a lot of time by the computer this week.
A lot of time by the computer with mimosas, and I have to say I kind of got a little lit both days, because I just feel when you're just sitting in front of a Zoom, kind of shooting the shit, especially with some of these people that you don't know super well. So me, at a party, I talk with anybody, so same deal, but you're just sitting there and you're just sipping and you're just not really moving. I was just bring my bottle of champagne and maybe a cup of orange juice to splash in there every once in a while with me. And so then I'm just pouring, and then I'm oh, this is half a bottle gone. This is not the move. But
yeah. So I mean, as far as like everyone still had a good time, even though it was just on Zoom.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. Like, so for the surprise one, she was really surprised, and like her boyfriend set it all up that we all sent in like little couple sentences about like how we're proud of her and like why we love her and stuff. So like she read all of it, like he made like a document of those up and like had her read those all out, and like so she was like crying, and it was like a whole thing. And then like the other, like her official one that she had with her family and stuff is that she played like the little like virtual like commencement ceremony video that the university put out for it, and then like we all then just got to talk and whatever, and like we got to see like whatever stuff that that was being shown for like when her name was being read, and all that. So it's just so weird that that's like what we're doing now, but I mean that's just the world. And then I had a Zoom birthday party for one of my friends, Kendall, who I shouted out last week. So like she like was DJing her own birthday party, and like we were having like a dance Zoom party. It was really, it's a weird fucking world, but this is how I'm like, you know, celebrating with my friends.
It's funny because like I only done that once during this whole thing. I've still seen people. Like it's like I just like don't think there's anything we've celebrated besides one time just trying to all get together on Zoom, which was fun, but like it was like, you know, I don't know, we just like don't have anything to celebrate, I guess, besides like I haven't had a big string of birthdays lately, or you know.
Yeah, I have a bunch of Taurus friends, I guess. That was the season that just passed. And I don't know. And I also like, I feel like my friends are literally in every time zone of the United States, like my main friend groups. So that's kind of like, this is like, now that we all have the time, like this is how we can do it. Because usually it'd be like so hard to get us all together on like Google Hangout or something. But we're all like, well, we're not running off and doing stuff. So might as well.
Yeah. Well, I got back from Atlanta this past week. Had gone down, you know, to, like I said, last week I was still there. But, you know, being back in Atlanta feels good. I like to be back on my home turf. Been very exhausting week, though. So I've been, like, really tired all week for whatever reason.
Same.
I don't know. Maybe it was the drive that kind of set me back. But I got my drone, so we've been like going and taking that to the park, and me and Paul have just been trying to get like some cool videos and stuff. So
I know
really
it goes up so
practicing.
high, like seeing that video on your story or whatever, like it's crazy, like to think about, like, oh my God, like this tiny, not, I mean, it's like this big, but like, it's crazy to think about like how high up it is. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, I know. It gets me still nervous. Paul will be like, let's fly it like 6 miles away. I'm like, yeah,
Let's
maybe
not.
next time. But I mean, it does. And the thing is, it has like sensors where it doesn't get like in like a crash. Like if it's gonna like hit something, it will turn around and it comes right back home. It's crazy. So
is it technically your drone, or is it Paul's drone, or is it like this like your guys' like child together?
yeah,
Like,
I mean, essentially,
you're gonna have like a custody war, like.
No. I mean, I just went on a whim and just like purchased it because it was like, you know, he was telling me about this drone. I was like, let's get some dope footage. So I just had some cash to get it, and you know, I invested in getting it, and it's definitely not only fun to like just like mess with and stuff, but like we're trying to make a lot more cool videos lately. So this just kind of adds to our arsenal. And the way we've always done stuff, it's just like we all, you know, share each other's stuff. Like, you know, it's not like we know that he has a camera,
Yeah.
I got a camera, like we're
Like
gonna
hats.
go. Yeah, and hats, yeah, whatever. Now, I almost forgot about it, but before the show, you know, we were just talking about me and Paul and hats. So, but anyways, why don't we get into some quick hits or something? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's do it.
What do we got for some quick hits this week, V?
All right, I'm going to start with a sad one, but don't worry. So Fred Willard, known comedian. I mean, most recent roles people have probably seen him in have been on Modern Family as the dad of Phil Dunphy.
And he's also on The Bachelor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he also, I mean, he's had a constant spot on Jimmy Kimmel's late night show and things like that. He passed away this past week. So that was, some sad news, but it was interesting. I actually accidentally was watching, I just had the TV on. Sometimes I just have the TV on for noise, when I'm finishing up stuff late at night. And Jimmy Kimmel did a whole tribute show to him. And I didn't even realize how many things or how many standing points of comedy history he's been a part of. And I'm like, oh, so it's,
he was just one of the OGs,
Yeah. So sad to rest in peace to him, but. On a happier note, this has been taking the internet by storm, and Harry Styles knew exactly what he was doing by releasing this video. But Harry Styles came out with his music video for Watermelon Sugar, which, if you actually listen to the lyrics of Watermelon Sugar, it is about a sexual act. It is blatantly about a sexual act. And so he made a music video.
What, Cunnilingus?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
I think we got a title, people. No.
I always I'm how many N's are in that word? But his music video, it starts by saying this is dedicated to touching, which is just first of all, we all know we're craving that. We're craving that right now. We are locked up in, our quarantine or whatever. We're craving some real touch. And it's a beautiful music video, I have to say. It did me in. I was not ready.
Why is it viral? What's the viral part of it?
It's just he has watermelons, right? And he has all these beautiful women. And he's wearing a crop top, and they're in very 70s inspired clothes, just all kind of hanging out on a beach, running, holding each other and whatever. He has this watermelon that he runs his finger across. He fingers the watermelon. There's no nice way for me to say this. He literally gently come hither's this watermelon, and everyone lost their, and he has this shit-eating grin on for most of the video, and we're bitch, you know exactly what you're doing.
Oh, he's eating something, but I don't think it's shit. Well, that's what's up. I have to check that out immediately after we're done recording. And the big news from music this week has been actually was all started with Tekashi 6ix9ine. He's back, and he's making a lot of noise in the music game by straight up going after Billboard charts, saying that Justin Bieber and Ariana Grande, he's alleging that a bunch of their singles were bought or albums were bought with 6 credit cards or something. So saying that you can buy a number 1 on Billboard with 6 credit cards. And he's been going back and forth. But to me, he's just doing exactly what he's been doing ever since, I've started seeing Tekashi 6ix9ine, and he just getting free publicity from the 2 of the biggest artists in the game, Ariana Grande and Justin Bieber, by them even responding and stuff. And it's pretty incredible. He's now solidified as probably one of the biggest rappers in the game now, because you're sitting there squabbling with the
he's
biggest pop stars.
Troll artist for sure. He is doing his trolling, and both Ari and Justin put out some sort of statements. Ari tried to hers was she posted her Instagram being I'm so blessed to be number 1, my fans bought this song, Justin's fans bought this song, blah blah blah, and even being anywhere, even number 3 on the charts is worth it to me, and that was a direct call out, because his song falls at number 3, and they definitely both responded. Justin Bieber's was a little bit less than hers, and it was just we're not, Scooter Braun's not out here buying shit. That's where we play by the rules. Ari went through the full this is the rules, this is how it works, blah blah blah. I'm happy for my fans. But
I don't know. What do you think? Do you think there's something a little sketchy there, a little fishy? Do you think they sometimes do this for the biggest pop artists in the world, just as a relationship massage?
Who's to say? I feel there's always been some sort of kind of issues with Billboard in general. We can even talk all the way back to the whole idea of Old Town Road, and how that was a fight to even get that on the charts, or get that recognized. And I just think And I think Scooter Braun, I mean, we've talked plenty on this show how Scooter Braun's kind of shady in his own way. I don't know if he's like really out here buying streams or buying, things like that in that sense, but I'm sure there's a little bit more to this, like the billboard and like that kind of relationship than we know.
Yeah, no. Well, I think only time will tell how this shakes out. I think the winner in this one is actually 6ix9ine, because he's just in the game now. Like, it's just like you thought like he was gonna come in quiet and no one was gonna pay attention. Like, now he's definitely up there, with the biggest artists, and it's pretty crazy to see.
I don't know. He like kind of came at like, even because I think who is next on that list? I think it might have been like like Savage is on there too. I think he might have like tried to come at like Meg and stuff too, and like Meg was like, nah, dog, like we're not playing this game. So, I mean, I hope he kind of like picks his battles, and also, I
don't know. He's really good at this stuff. Like, I feel like he knows what he's doing. Like, he's just really good at it. So we'll see. Only time can tell. What's it called? Let's talk about Kristin Cavallari, your girl, my girl. I mean, more like you watch Very Cavallari, right?
I do.
How do you feel about it not coming back?
So she announced this past week on her Instagram, as that's what people do these days, that she was not going to be continuing with the show, which means the show, like, I feel like it's like such a stupid way to like put it. Like, I'm not going to be continuing with the show. Like, it's called Very Cavallari. That means the show is canceled. Like, just like, you don't need to like tiptoe around it. But I think it's just, obviously some of my friends, we watch it, whatever, and we were sharing it around. And I just think it's funny because, like, as someone who knows Jay Cutler from sports, and the city of Chicago had a love-hate relationship with Jay Cutler. And then, we watched the show, and like we got a way different Jay Cutler than we ever saw, like the one that would be throwing like temper tantrums on a football field. So like, I think he really like was the dynamic that the show needed, because like, no offense to Kristin, like she doesn't really have like the biggest personality. Like, I think she was always thrown into the hills and everything like that because like she, was just going to say shit and that's how it was going to be. And like on this show, like she's a boss. So she'll just be like, hey, I'm just going to say shit. Like, if you guys are having problems, that's how it's going to be. Like, all of the most dramatic people from Very Cavallari are now no longer on this show. And now the show doesn't exist. So it just kind of is like, I feel like without, like, it would have been way too much to have like all that drama of like a divorce and like stuff with the kids. And I'm sure it's just a lot there, but I'm also interested to see like how this is going to impact her business, because like she benefited from the idea of like still having the show and like having all that, and people be like, oh, like I'm going to Uncommon James. Like, yeah,
I think they got bigger issues than like the show. Like, probably her business is suffering in general because of the times right now and stuff. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm sure she'll come out on top. She always does. Yeah, that's my girl KC. Talking about another girl that her name starts with a K. Kaitlyn Bristowe from Bachelor fame released a song, and I actually listened to it, and it's pretty good.
It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I hate when people like, have to like have like this whole story about like being insecure about putting out music and stuff. It's like, it's a tired story about putting out music. Like,
well, yeah, especially like, and I moved to Nashville, and like then me and my fiance broke up, and then like I was never sure if I should put out this music, and now I'm in a great relationship, and now I did it. Like,
yeah, I mean, you could tell she definitely wants to get into singing now, hardcore. But so yeah, it was pretty good. I forgot what the name of it was.
Shoot, I forget.
But her name is
like,
Kaitlyn Bristowe, and I'm pretty sure you could just type that in Spotify and
yeah,
find
you'll
that
see
easily.
it. In other new music news, you hate her, but I love her, and a lot of her fans love her too. Lorde is coming out with some new music. She says, I think this summer. She works with Jack Antonoff, who, incredible producer and musician in his own right. And they've been working on some new stuff. This will be her third album. And
I honestly, if she's working with him, like, it could be good. Like, I love Lover, with Taylor Swift. I love The Bleachers. I love Fun. I love all those things he's done. So if she's working with him, then I think it's going to be a pretty good project, but we'll see. But yeah, I always like the stuff he works on. So I think that's pretty
cool. He does do incredible, like, yeah, he makes a lot of great music for sure, for himself or for other people.
Word. Let's kind of get into a little bit more Bachelor type stuff as we gear up to get into our interview here. Bachelor, it just ended with their finale of Listen to Your Heart, and they're going to be this summer, I guess, doing a best of Bachelor where they're recycling their old, I guess, best moments from
best season. So they're gonna do, like, starting in June, they're gonna have like Monday nights will be like I think a super condensed version, which, like, this is actually exciting to me as someone, we've all suffered through the 2 hours for weeks and weeks on end, but they're doing like super condensed versions of the
seasons
of a season in one night. Like, so they're gonna do
like one season in 3 hours.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like they're going to do like JoJo's season. I think they're going to do Higgins' season, Ben Higgins. I think they're going to do Sean Lowe's season. So some of like the favorites and some of like the not favorites, like Juan Pablo, things like that. So I feel like I'm probably going to take a trip down memory lane just because like some of these are favorites that I watched, or some of them are ones that like I wasn't like fully in Bachelor Nation yet. So it'd be interesting. But JoJo's my girl, so for sure watching hers.
Well, staying on tune with Bachelor, what made you go yikes this week, V? Like, straight up.
Oh boy, I mean, we couldn't not talk about it. It's Hanabi and the scandal surrounding her. So, many of you, if you listen to this show and you actually are like a Bachelor fan or you've seen any sort of Bachelor content, you couldn't have missed this news. So Hanabi went on Instagram Live this past weekend or something and was hanging out, playing some music, was learning, I think, the TikTok dance to Rockstar by B.o.B. And she was singing along and doing whatever. And in part of her singing along, though she was very, effortful with making sure to censor out like the word fuck or shit or things like that, she let N-word.
She what?
So.
Say it again.
She let slip the N-word.
Oh, wow. Yeah. No, you cut out. Even my computer would like skip.
Your computer's like, don't.
Don't say. I was like, wait a second. So I just want to make sure you clearly said
the N-word.
Okay.
The racial slur.
Okay, cool. Not cool. I mean, Hanabi. This is, I think this is a product of what I obviously see as someone that's just like spending way too much time putting themselves out there. Like, it's like just wanting attention and like getting so comfortable with it that like you get drunk on your Instagram Live and and something like this happens and stuff. And, like, she shouldn't be crucified for it, but like at the same time, it's like, she definitely needs to apologize for, more than just like an IG post, I feel like,
Yeah. Well, and like, so that's what I think people are mostly upset about because like, accidents happen, but I think the fact that like people were like, she was really good about like making sure not to say other words, but she said that one, like the fact that it slipped out seems like a little, like she's a little too comfortable with it. And also people are like, okay, so then like in the Instagram Live itself, she just didn't like really, she was like kind of laughed it off. And then her quick follow-up fake, like not real apology to it was first like, you guys could think you heard what you thought you heard, but like, I'm not like that. So you didn't hear that. And then she did like, an Instagram story post being all like, I'm sorry for who I offend. It was still like all half-assed. And so then
I think it was like, it's a matter of like, I think about like what was going through her head when she said it, and then like she tried to move on from it, but the comments wouldn't let her. She's like, you said the N-word, you said the N-word, you said, so it's like she's like, no, I didn't. Did I really? Like, it's just like,
and then her friend was trying to be like, no, it was someone else. I'm like, bitch, it's too late.
She blamed her brother or something like that. Like her friend threw like Hannah's brother under the bus. Well, I mean, I think it's horrible. I wonder, to me, it's almost like, I'm already a hater sometimes. Like, I hate when people are just corny, and I just felt like the TikToks are just getting super corny.
Well,
and now
it's
with
just-
this happening, it's just like thank God. Like I hope the TikTok stopped for a while. Like
Well, and it's just like, so like when it came down to this, like a bunch of Bachelor Nation spoke out, and a lot of them kind of like, okay, Rachel Lindsay did like a quick live and then like posted as an Instagram TV about being, and like, she's the most well-known Black figure in Bachelor history. And so she had to be like, yo, like, if you're non-Black, like, you can't be saying this word, and like, you can't be like out here not apologizing for it without, like, you have to, especially as like, she has millions of followers. Like, this is like, that's the problem, is like, this is the impact.
well, yeah. I mean, I don't really. It just sucks that happened. We'll see what happens with Hanabi and when she resurfaces again after all this. What was I gonna say? Well, if you could sum up last night's finale or this week's finale of Listen to Your Heart, what would it be, V? What would you sum it up in a couple bullet points?
All right, they went to Nashville. Matt and Rudy got brooding, and they broke up.
Ooh.
Because they realized they weren't at the same level, which, whatever. They have fantasy suites, but Bree and Chris don't fuck, and Jamie and Trevor definitely do. And they perform their songs, and Bree and Chris win.
That's a funny summary. I just kind of want to briefly go through that because we have a very special guest this week. From the show, Bachelor Presents Listen to Your Heart, I'd like to welcome y'all to our friend, Brandon Mills. Yeah! Give him an air horn, too. What's going on, Brandon?
Love it.
We've got it all.
How you doing, man? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing really well, man. It's great to be on with you guys.
Yeah.
Yay, we're excited to have you.
Yeah, we've been letting our listeners know since last week that you're going to be on here, and it's very exciting because the show legit just ended. So we want to kind of dig in and see what your thoughts have been, pre-show, post-show, and what the future is for you and stuff. So
Let's do it, man. I'm excited.
Well, let's just dive right in, man. Like how has everything been since show is wrapped and you ended up going home, I guess, essentially.
I went out with a bang.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. And we'll definitely get into all that in a little bit. But how's everything going, man? Right now we're in the middle of a global pandemic. So how's this been for you?
It's funny. I realized I live my life pretty much in quarantine.
Yeah.
So this is not too different for me. I spend a lot of time alone, a lot of time in nature. I just like the solitude. That's how I create, and that's how I really stay grounded. So I do miss the bars. I do miss live music. I do miss some dates. But other than that, and what's cool is my pocketbook does not miss those things.
Right.
So,
We talk about that every week. We're saving money right now. So
yeah, exactly.
but-
Putting them a little more away. It's
So
nice.
where are you living these days?
I'm down in here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay. Cool,
not far from us. We're in Atlanta, so yeah.
Yes.
Oh, heck yeah, Atlanta. I'm going to have to come visit you guys.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. As far as that goes, why don't we talk about a little bit of where your journey started with, and I'm using the cliche words like journey with you right now, but
Journey.
Where your journey started. Yeah, where did your journey actually begin? With this, because we're huge fans of the show, and obviously, like I said when we first introduced ourselves, I'm into music too, so I was kind of a little butthurt that I didn't even see the auditions for this, so I'm kind of interested to see how you kind of came about getting on the show.
Yeah, well, before I start, I'll say I will definitely connect you with the producer so we get you on next season.
Let's go, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. You'd be amazing. I knew we picked the
do
right
it.
guy to interview here.
So they hit me up on Instagram, I believe. I'm almost positive it's Instagram. And they totally just fed my ego. They're like, hey, you're a good-looking, semi-attractive, decent musician. Would you care to be on a dating show with a bunch of other beautiful, attractive musicians? I was like, yeah. I think I could do that. I think that'd be cool.
I mean, that sounds like a hell of a
really
deal.
the show for you, Sai.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, as far as, that process, so after they, kind of massage your ego there, where was, were they trying to get you on the phone, do, Skype interviews or get you
we did a
out?
phone interview, and I was I remember being in somebody's car in Arizona. I was visiting a friend out there, just roasting, and I'm just like, yeah, sounds good. Sure. I just want to get out of the car.
Yeah.
So they did an interview. in Nashville, here in Nashville, and I got to meet the casting director. Recorded a little interview in front of a camera, then sang one of my original songs. She apparently was really impressed. Then they flew me out to LA, and it was like a day and a half of interviews, just constantly in and out of different hotel rooms, checking out, meeting with different producers in a small room, and then eventually just grew until I was in a room of like 40 people, and
wow,
super nervous, tried to like play it cool. Try to not like bite my nails or do anything awkward.
Right.
Well, the beautiful thing is they fed me like a glass of champagne before, so it really did ease the tension of everything that I had been going through at the time.
Nice.
So yeah, I felt like I just slid right into it, and I apparently impressed the right people. So they called me a few months later. It was a long process. It was like 3 or 4 or 5 months of just kind of sitting around and waiting. Obviously continuing to do what I do musically, but kind of just putting things on hold with the anticipation that this might be a reality for me. So
yeah, and that's actually, I think, would be a little bit more difficult than one would think, like, especially like, talking about the new Bachelorette season and how they, all those guys were announced, and now it's like, are those guys expected to actually like stay along for, this whole thing to see it through? Well, I guess only time will tell, but did you know you were going on to a music version of The Bachelor? Like, how was it presented to you?
So they presented it to me like, the way they made it seem was like, you're going to go meet a bunch of beautiful single women who also play music. You guys are going to live in a house together and just create music. And I was like, that sounds amazing. I would love to do that on any day of the week. If I could do it on TV, all the better. So they kind of pimped it as this is what it's going to be. And then we get there, and then they're kind of like, oh, by the way, this is a couple show, and you have to pick a partner in, really short amount of time, and now it's a competition. I was like, oh, shit, okay. Because honestly, and I think they did that on purpose, because I don't think I would have done that had they disclosed that information that early, right?
Right.
So
Of course, yeah.
they kind of showed me along in a really beautiful way. They're obviously really good at what they do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so let's get into like kind of the show a little bit, because as a viewer, it was kind of hard for me to kind of figure out what the format of the show was, and I kind of wanted to pick your brain. Like, did you know, like, was it just as confusing for you, like, along the way too? Like, oh, they're introducing more people. Oh, the competition starts now. Like, oh, like you gotta like just either pick each other and go home. Like, was it always like a surprise?
It was. I had no idea what was going on the whole time. And I will say this too, I've never seen any episode of any Bachelor ever. So I walked into it totally blind. And I kind of wanted to do that. I wanted to do that just to be honest, and I didn't want to come in with any expectations or assumptions. But I honestly think that hurt me in the long run. I probably should have did a little more homework. I think some of the contestants that did really well kind of knew how to prep themselves a little bit better for how to say what they needed to say and how to act, and maybe not show all their cards. And I think in some ways I was a little too authentic, and that kind of got me burned. I think they kind of took advantage of that, but we'll get into that when you ask the article.
Well, I mean, we can kind of start talking about it, like, and it's weird too, because like, we never really get the opportunity too much to like, it's really easy to judge you guys like on TV,
for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there was a couple weeks where we're like, what the hell, Brandon, what are you doing?
We're like, what is he doing?
But like, now having you here, this is our opportunity to kind of ask those questions and really like, I guess,
Set the record straight.
we can put our tails between our legs or whatever over here. But first of all, like, what was it like getting into the house, and like how was your nerves, and like like how do you beat that? And as you start seeing like beautiful people walking in, like what, like you're like, damn. And did you and you don't have to tell me who, but like did you like off the bat, obviously there's other beautiful girls there, but did you like have your eyes on maybe another one that we never even saw like on the show?
Yeah, it's so interesting, man, because so much of this we don't have control over, and I'm not making excuses, but I was the last person at the house. So there's 20 people there. I was the last person to show up. And so I get in there, and I'm thinking I'm going to meet with a producer who's going to prep me for me to go meet a specific individual. And they just throw me in the room with like 19 other people that have been hanging out for a long time. Right. Connections had already been made. Flirtatious comments had already been made. There's obviously some touching, some probably hand-holding. And I walk in, I'm like, oh, shit, I definitely have some catching up to do, right?
Yep.
Dang.
It just so happened that I sat at the end of the couch. Well, next to the end of the couch was Julia. So I got to talk to her. We hit it off right away. I enjoyed my time with her. And so a lot of this was kind of like out of my control, and it happened in such a compressed amount of time that it was almost impossible to like have any time to breathe or think as an honest person. You just kind of have to react. And I think that's what makes good TV, but it doesn't make authentic human beings, That's the issue with all of that. But But I don't know if I was nervous. I mean, I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to go into the military. I went to combat.
Right.
So these kind of things are a little less
service and stuff, man.
Yeah, no worries, man. My pleasure. It's my pleasure. The only reason I brought that up is because I don't think I had the same nerves as some of the other contestants. I was just like, I'm going to be me. I'm a pretty decent human being. I'm going to have fun. And there's probably going to be some really cool people here. And that wound up being the case, and it was cool. But I did get manipulated.
I did notice that in your demeanor. Like, I felt like you were very calm and level-headed, when going into situations and stuff. But so like that, you get in there, you're kind of thrown into that mix. Quickly, like, how quickly are you thinking about like where the music aspect comes into play?
Yeah, again, foolishly, I didn't do my homework. So Chris comes in the first night and he goes, "Hey, we don't want this to be about music right now. We want this to be about authentic relationships." Yeah. I'm like, yeah, Chris, cool, man. You know what's up. You look really handsome and you're confident. Okay, I trust you.
Right.
So I didn't pick up a guitar for like the first 2 days. I was like trying to authentically build relationships with these women without the music. Yeah. Little did I know these guys that were, I think, above the power curve or ahead of the power curve were busting out the guitar and doing some romance and like writing their own songs. And I think, hindsight's 2020. I probably would have done that a little sooner.
Yeah.
But the idea was to build honest connections, authentic connections in that time span initially, and then move into the musical aspect. So I did what I was told, like a typical Marine, and
you were like, all right, aye.
But so as far as like like this might just be a question you don't have to answer, but like, did you feel like like as an artist and seeing like being in a room full of other artists and they're everyone wants to kind of like peacock or show off a little bit, did you get those like annoying vibes in the house at all, like where you're like, this person's doing runs in the other room, it's like just like or they have to sing everything or whatever it is?
Dude, I was so impressed with everybody, and I think everybody there was super humble and super talented, honestly. We lucked out, man. The casting director did a phenomenal job. I loved everybody in that house, and I learned from everybody in that house, and we had a really good time, especially the guys. Guys who tend to be just a little more grounded in these situations, and we were in the back just hanging out, sharing songs with each other, like beatboxing and freestyling. Like we were just flowing, and it was a lot of fun. I was never really intimidated. I didn't think anybody was showboating. And the coolest part is like through the whole process, we're all rooting for each other. Right. Like it was so easy for me to lose only because I knew my friends were going on to do more. That was like a really beautiful, place to be. There was no like ego, hostile, shitty, negative energy. It was all good. It's all good stuff.
That's what's up, man. Well, I kind of want to like, let's get into like your relationships on the show a little bit. To me, I felt like from as a viewer watching you at the beginning, I felt like very, like I said, reserved. To me, it was like almost like you were playing it good. Like, it's like, let's see our options. Like, let's not get too far deep. Like a lot of couples were already like falling hard, it seemed like. So I was like, look at this, like at least like he's, weighing his options, and cause you didn't know how long you had to weigh your options, right?
No idea, man.
And also that weird round of just like introducing like other people into the house too. Like I was like, oh, are they going to do this throughout the whole show or?
Yeah, so it was funny. Like that was the first breath of fresh air that we took was after the first rose ceremony. We're all coupled off. There's 16 of us left, 8 couples. And then as we're like literally, I remember me and Matt just hanging out on the couch, just like, man, this feels real good. Like we're settled. Like we got it. And then Natasha shows up. It's just like record scratch. We look over at each other. We're like, oh my God, they're so good at this. So they kept bringing the heat. So all that being said, I definitely was like, listen, I want to get to know everybody. And again, I think that was a foolish thing to do. It was kind of like, if I'm vibing with somebody, probably should have stuck with it. But I'm not willing to just like settle. And I'm not saying any of the couples did that, but I do believe some of them might have just been like, hey, this might be an easier way to ride this crazy adventure out. Yeah. So I do like this person. We're compatible. So I'm just going to stick with this, and that's fine. I was just like, I want somebody that's all in with me. And so I think I was looking for that and probably put too much pressure on myself and other people to show up like that.
I mean, you saw even like towards the end there with Matt and Rudy, like obviously they like things happen that you want to try to like ride with each other. They're probably the most probably favorited, like talented, like, you know, everyone there was talented, but you know, specifically Rudy like has such an incredible voice and they complement each other so well. But it was a shame to see them kind of go home before getting to show off one last time. But well, let's talk about I kind of wanted, like, as a musician, man, like there was a lot of cool song choices this season, but I feel like you got kind of like screwed on song choices,
shafted
man.
a little bit.
Like,
Thank you for saying that.
Honestly, because like it was like not only were you like going through it like through with other things, but then they're just like I felt like they were almost kind of like digging the knife in and turning it a little bit by throwing you like a terrible song choice and stuff.
I don't want to say that they were playing favorites, but like as I look back, and I don't want to be jaded, I'm not at all. I'm so grateful for the opportunity, but I was like, wait, I was last person in. I was the person to go on the coolest, weirdest date on the second time. Yeah. I got, in my opinion, two of the shittiest songs that I never would have chose. They're not shitty songs. They weren't applicable to the situation.
Right, and they also didn't compare to the other song choices. It was just like, how are you supposed to win against that song? Like, you know?
Yeah.
Talk about Lady Gaga's song that like she came back with. You're gonna compete against like. You didn't stand a chance, like, you know. So
yes, I wish you were one of the producers on the show. Like,
I talk about it all the time, man. Talk about it all the time. But it's interesting to hear you talk about the producers though too, because we're always like, man, they're so good at like producers. You know, like twisting and turning these things.
Amazing. I listen. I knew what I signed up for, and I got manipulated in a really beautiful way. And it's my responsibility. I take full responsibility for it because at the end of the day, I made the decisions. But damn, they were good at just like feeding you little info and like pushing you and steering you just the right way till you like start to question everything you've ever believed.
Dude, it's so rough. It's exactly like hearing
so crazy.
Hearing this firsthand is honestly because like we've been doing this podcast for over 2 years, and like, you know, at first I was like really gung ho about going on the show. Like I've auditioned and done all that stuff and continue to do this show, but you know, as it goes on, and I think it was like with Bachelor in Paradise and you know, it just like a lot of the things that started happening that like even I like that are happening this week with being just like associated with the show, it just can really affect not only you like as a person, but like your family. And for you know, it seems like it's just for a short amount of time. Like people will forget. Like, you know, they'll forget about, like, no offense, they'll forget, like, I forget about contestants on the show, like, after, like, a year or two, and like, I'm like...
After, like, watching the show the night before, you'll forget.
Right, but, like, exactly, I'm not good with the names and everything, but, like, right, Brandon Mills, no, but yeah, no, you know what I'm saying, though, it's just, like, it's one of those 100%. Things, yeah, so, but, you know, so, how was it just being thrown into, you know, having to kind of, like you were saying earlier, like, are you just going to kind of go into a relationship with someone and fake it a little bit, and then you start feeling like you're being ingenuine, that's going to come off on camera, like that's kind of why, like I said, Matt and Rudy went home, because I felt like he just couldn't fake it, and people like that knew him would be.
I really commend Matt for what he did and how he did it,
right?
And I know that was tough for him, but he stayed true to his roots, and I think in a lot of ways I did too. I didn't want to settle, and I'll just say this, like Savannah, I care deeply for Savannah. We're still friends. She said things on camera that she never said to me. So like I'm a words of affirmation and a physical touch kind of love language kind of guy, and I didn't get a lot of that from her. And then Julia showed up and was giving that to me. So I'm not saying either thing is right or wrong. I think I definitely messed up and kind of like asked Savannah to be something that she wasn't, and kind of asked her to show up a little bit more than she was comfortable with. So that's on me. And the way I handled that whole thing was messed up. I was a little intoxicated, which is not an excuse, but I think had something to do with it. Yeah. And so I apologized to her, and it's tough, man. I just wanted to be real and authentic to myself, and I think in some ways they saw that and capitalized on it, because they're like, oh, this dude's not going to settle. Okay, so we're going to see where we can push this, because we want him to be we want him to continue to not know, because it was not 3 weeks down the road. I can't tell you exactly how long it was, but it wasn't even close to 3 weeks. So I think in all reality, I had every right to want to continue to pursue two girls. I'm not going to apologize for that, but maybe the way I did it was a little off. But again, it's so hard to navigate that. There's so much emotional trauma, stress, sleep deprivation. You're getting pulled in 1,000 different directions. So being authentic is a real challenge. And then even being authentic to the producers can sometimes get manipulated to their advantage. So,
well, while we're talking about it, can you kind of like touch on getting in maybe in your head, like maybe it's too much thinking about how you look on camera, and when you actually went back and watched a show, you were like, I shouldn't have been focused on like how I looked like then, or I should have been more like conscious of like me when I was doing this. Any like advice in that realm?
Yeah, like I definitely blew it with the way that I had that conversation with Savannah. Like that should have been done with a lot more like gentlemanly love and compassion. I was kind of like, hey, Savannah, I need you to step up. That's what I wanted to say, but it didn't come out that way. It came off a little condescending, and it wasn't meant to be. And again, apologies have been made to her. We're on good terms. I still care for her deeply. That is one mistake. I'm not going to apologize about what happened with the whole Julia thing, because on the date, I told Julia, like, listen, I'm still into Savannah. I want to go have a conversation with her. And Julia was like, I totally understand. And so that made total sense to me, and I appreciated her grace and space for that. But when Natasha came and dropped the knowledge on Julia about that, the fact that she reacted to that didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, we talked about this like 2 nights ago. What's the issue here? How are you upset about this now? So I don't know, man. It's all a learning experience. It's cool. I've learned how to give so much more love and compassion to myself and other people, because there's a lot of haters.
Yeah,
and
do you feel like it's like humbling? Like it's like a humbling experience kind of in a way?
Sure, for sure. That you take the 1% of your shittiness and you magnify it on national TV. You're going to be humble, and then you can look at yourself that way and just go into a downward spiral, which I may or may not have for a little bit.
I feel you, man. Understandable.
Or you can respond in a way that's like, that's not who I am, just because that's what the rest of the world saw. I'm much bigger than that. I'm much better than that.
Yeah.
And forgive myself and move on. And that's been the victory for me. And it's been cool to give that compassion and empathy for the people that are hating on me, because they're obviously in a place of brokenness if they're slanging all that hate towards me too.
Right.
So.
Well, I mean, I'll say this right now. Like, I think, it's you're blowing my mind on like a level of like, because your personality, I felt like definitely didn't. I don't mean this as this. I feel like it didn't shine through on the show. Like how I get to talk to you right now. And then on top of that, it's really nice to hear like your perspective on seeing like those conversations, because I'm sure you, like everyone, we all cringe at these conversations, and if anyone saw any type of private conversation like that we have, like if you saw one of the private conversations me and Veronica have had, you'd be like, holy crap, how is this podcast still happening?
How are these two friends?
Right. So
if you took the worst 5% of that conversation and then just slice it together and be like, this is who this person is, you'd be like, that dude sucks.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
and it happens all the time. So it's
yeah. It's hard to be the fullness of who you are when they get to decide how they're going to edit you. That's the issue. Because I'm still friends with all the guys, almost all the guys, and we're all tight, and we all love each other. We respect each other so much, and some of us got bad reps, and some of us got thrown like kind of shitty editing, but we can see so far past that. So that's why I love talking to people like you guys, because I get to just tell you like, this is who I am, and I get to be a lot more authentic, because we're not filtering this, we're not editing it, we're not making it what's more dramatic than it really was. So
yeah, we appreciate you for that. Well, speaking about the other guys, so what is it like? Are you like cool with Sheridan, man? What's the deal with him?
Listen, I texted Sheridan a few weeks before the premiere, before the first episode, and I was like, hey man, I meditate a lot. I meditate every day, sometimes twice a day. And he kept coming up in my meditation when I was thinking. So I was like, I usually like to reach out to people when I'm thinking about them. So I just said, hey, man, I just want the best for you. I'm sorry things went down the way they did, but I have nothing but love and respect for you. And he said, I appreciate that. And that's been the fullness of it. We talked directly after the show. We had a FaceTime because he was super pissed and I think pointed a lot of the fingers at me. And I kind of just set the record straight about what Julia said on the date, because it wasn't so much about him. I wasn't trying to personally attack him. I wasn't trying to be a dick to him. I wasn't like, this is gonna fuck Sheridan over. Perfect. No. I love the guy. We bonded quite a bit over like guitar and songwriting, and I do still respect that dude a lot. And he's gotten a lot more beautiful coverage than I have, and maybe that's like karmic in a way, which is fine with me. I'm rooting for everybody on the show. I'm rooting for everybody in life, really.
Yeah, that's a good attitude, man. Just like I think that's gonna take you a long way as far as as far as everything in the future. Well, let's kind of wrap up on listen to your heart, and we can talk about you a little bit more and what you got post show. But I would like to talk about the finale and a couple things there when it comes to Julia is, I guess, essentially looked at and maybe alongside you as maybe the villains of the show this season. Sure. I don't know. You always kind of have to point them out. I don't make up these things, man. That's just kind of the format of the show.
But I put people in boxes.
If I was looking at this from a third party, I would classify myself as a villain for sure.
Well, you were just the one that was just weighing the options. Everyone else was just, I think they got lucky enough to just kind of stick with the game and stuff. But that's where I feel like you're it was interesting to see you kind of navigate it. But so it comes to the end, and you and Julia, you made your decision to do this, which talking about the finale this week and stuff, you can see how just something, just a little shift can really start messing with your head and everything. How did it feel? First of all, before you go out on stage, Natasha drops that bomb on Julia. What is your what are your personal feelings on all that? Because me as a watcher, that's just smart moves to play as a person playing the game. You know what I'm saying?
Looking back, I even noticed it at the time. I was like, "Damn, Natasha, you just fucking threw a grenade in our foxhole, and you're just waiting for us to just sit there."
Queen of it,
It blew my mind that Julia had the response that she did, because again, we had already freaking talked about it on the date. So I'm like, yo, Julia, who cares? That was 2 days ago, 3 days ago. We're here now. We're about to go on a badass stage in LA in front of a live audience with some gorgeous human beings. Let's just be present now. And that's my whole focus in life that I fail at all the time. But if you can be fully present, it doesn't matter what happened, right? So that's what I was hoping for. And I was really trying to coach her. And unfortunately, I care for Julia too. I think she was so caught up emotionally, so sleep deprived, she couldn't get over it. And then she wanted to point blames. It was Natasha's fault. Then it was my fault. And then that's just not the way that I operate. And it's my responsibility. I take full responsibility for what I did. So I do believe we showed up, and I do believe we did a damn good job with the song we were given. It just wasn't as good as the other three performances. And hats off to all those people who just crushed it. Well, I love everybody on that show because they're so damn talented. And I never would have picked that song.
Exactly, another song choice where I felt like they were just kind of burying you, dude.
They're like, good luck.
They're like, oh, this guy's either I don't know. I kind of almost, I want to pretend like I'm flattered about it, because maybe they're like, let's give him the hardest stuff and see if he can make it work.
Yeah. That's a good
Same
way to look
time,
at it.
I don't know how much they're rooting for people. I don't know how much they're rooting for certain members to have the advantage. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I don't know how
they got to make a show, but when it came to post performance and I felt bad because I feel like yes, you had your part to play in the events that took place and stuff, but I felt like Julia just instantly threw you under the bus about the performance, and then instantly the Sheridan part where she was I should have stuck with Sheridan, and then it was just damn, dude, that's the nail on the coffin for our boy B Mills, man. That's it.
Brother, I didn't even mind. I was like, girl, you need to work some shit out. I could have sat there and been like, yeah, you know what? I totally should have picked Savannah too. This was super, we did it. We made a mistake. If you want to call it a mistake, I tried. I gave it my best. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to blame you. I'm not going to say I should have, would have, could have. I'm here with you now. And the worst part is that was the last night of our show. Me and the boys were hanging out in the green room having a blast.
Yeah, it looked like it. I could see.
Sitting around just crying and having a terrible time. I was like, this is the last time you're going to see these people. Get over it. Just have fun. But again, no hate on her. She was so caught up in it all. And I think that, unfortunately, made for a shitty experience for her towards the end,
Yeah, and I don't want to dwell too much on it because it is as a viewer, you kind of do go to your guys' accounts afterwards and see how much they gotta be getting the fire right now. That's
what are the comments?
You do it to other
what
people,
are the comments?
and we'll get into that too. But I felt like Julia got the fire, and but you guys are really good about your bounce back. You kind of take a little break. You just admit where your faults are, and you just try to move on from there. Eventually the haters just look whack, and love will eventually populate it again. But
preach, brother, 100%, man. I mean, the haters, it's just so ugly, man. I'm not going to even acknowledge it.
Right.
It's not worth the time. I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to try and lead by example, be a gentleman as much as possible, which I failed to do, but I acknowledge that I didn't. And then I'm going to move forward, and that's it. And I'm going to spread love and life and courage and hope on everybody I possibly can with the little platform that I have. Oh, shit. I'm so
No,
sorry.
you're good. No worries. Well, I kind of wanted to know, because one point that I do remember about that episode is like when Julia was going at Natasha in front of everybody on the couch, and she was like, "How could you do that to another artist right before they go on?" And then Natasha just kind of like shut her up real quick with like, I hate that you think about it like this. I didn't mean it like that, but like tonight is not about you. It's about all of us working hard. And I was like, oh damn, like
Yeah,
what did it feel like to be in that room when that went down? I just like, do you guys give each other side eyes?
Oh, I was in the room like, no way you just said that. But I actually wasn't even surprised. She was she just loved to tornado everything that she was around. So I was like, well, typical Natasha.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, yeah. I mean, in general, like she did try to play, I think, the game, and I think that's fair enough. But it ended up kind of like probably biting them, in the butt eventually. And I guess that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah. I think karma's a very real thing, and I'm like, it's gonna come back to her, and it wound up coming back the next week,
right.
Or we call it a week, but it wound up coming the next performance.
Yeah.
She like forgot her lines, and I was like, well, listen, I'm still friends with Natasha too.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, it's kind of just like, babe, that's just the balance of the universe being like, yo, you can't mess with people like that.
Sure.
At the same time, I was in the room. And again, Julia was upset that I didn't defend her, and I was like, I'm not gonna throw more heat on this fire that's already a shitty fire. I'm going to walk away or get in a fire extinguisher and try and put it out.
Yeah, and at that point, you're not going to deny things that were like said and get into this whole thing. It's like, it's over. It's over at this point.
It's over. It's done. It's done. Let's move on. Yeah, for sure. 100%.
So I kind of want to know like your thoughts on the finale, Bree and Chris. And are you guys like, is there like a reunion and all that stuff? And are you going to be a part of that?
There was a plan to have a reunion, and now it's kind of on hold, as is most things in entertainment right now. So I don't know. I really hope
I still watch like the Skype, like, version of that or whatever, seeing y'all get on screen and just scream over each other and stuff. That'd be cool.
Yeah, people do the Zoom reunion.
Yeah,
so.
the Zoom reunions.
Oh, that'd be fun. I'll probably just sit in the corner and nod my head.
Yeah, it's probably smart. But like how did, like, as far as the show goes, what do you think about the whole show season as a whole? Do you feel like it was, as far as competition, fair? Do you think everyone played fair? Like, or, you don't have to like call out anybody here. Like, I just want to know like the dynamics, like.
Yeah, that's a great question, man. I mean, I don't know, because this is our first time doing anything like this. I love the show, and obviously I'm very partial. Like the very first episode, I just missed everybody again. I was like, oh, that was so fun. It was total chaos, but we had so much more fun than we had bullshit. I would have loved to have seen a lot less drama and a lot more music. I wish the dates were longer and we were doing things more musically. But again, I've never seen The Bachelor. I didn't know that The Bachelor like fuels on drama.
Yeah.
And so, had I known that, maybe I wouldn't have gone on, but taking, 20 plus new friends out of this whole situation has been beautiful. I don't know about fairness and everything. All I can do is be responsible for myself, and I wish I could have performed a little bit better. I was pretty bummed that they like cut our first performance, which we killed, and Jason Mraz said was the best performance of the night. To let Julia talk shit while we were singing, that was kind of lame. But again, that's the TV, and I signed up for it, so lesson learned. And then everybody else, dude, the whole time I was there, I was just like jaw dropped, either on the side stage or behind, and just like at the talent and the authenticity of the artists there, man. I have so much respect. I think a lot of people from this show are going to have really beautiful, successful careers out of all this. So I'm rooting for everybody. And yeah, I would definitely do it again. I would definitely do it a lot differently.
Yeah, for sure. I feel you, man. Well, as far as, your music goes, like post the show, like you have new music coming out, your single Glistening.
It's gonna. We got a new single dropping May 29th called Glistening.
Okay.
Little love ballad I wrote many years ago about. I was celibate at the time, ironically, but I was writing this about a relationship that I wanted to get into, and I wrote it when I was living in Bethlehem. I was working at the Palestinian refugee camps, and I was celibate. I was really focused on my spirituality, and this song just poured out of me, and yeah, so we put it in the studio, and we added some beautiful production to it. We got some violin in it. It's a sexy little song, and yeah, it'll be my first release in like over a year. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm hoping it resonates with all these new fans. There's a lot of people that are in my corner now that have kind of seen through the bullshit that is reality TV and along the journey with me. So I'm super honored, super humbled, and I think it's a great track.
You got two of them here right now, so we definitely are fans. You've turned our life around in just one episode.
I definitely, you definitely have been changing my mind. For the show, I do what we call tipsy talks. Like I drink like half a bottle of wine and watch the show, and like I definitely had some choice reactions to.
That's fair. I would be mad at myself too had I seen myself from the third party for sure.
Especially the amount of sweeties that were being dropped that were never vibes with me. So I was just like, yo.
That word's ruined for me for years.
You're like, I'm triggered.
No, you know what's funny though? I tell everybody like down south, and you guys might know. I don't know if they do it in Atlanta, but I'm from Kentucky. Like you go into like a Greasy Spoon, and the waitress or the hostess goes, "Hey, sweetie, how you doing? Let me help you." So I foolishly threw that in, trying to be kind, but did it while I'm arguing with a woman. Never ever am I ever gonna do
that. They knew they had you too, so they threw it in every time you said it.
Oh yeah, I probably said it 3 times in 6 hours, but they're like, sweetie.
Yeah, they knew it. They made sure.
Wow, you had a sweet tooth for sure. But well, you know that is that going to be coming with a project? You got like a video you're doing, and like with all this like uncertainty in the world, like how do you pursue as like you got this budding career, eyes on you because of the show. How do you navigate these like times where like they're talking about no concerts until like next year and
like, I mean
I guess doing stuff like this, right?
Yeah, do stuff like this, like hang out with you guys and really just focus on my craft of songwriting, because songwriting will always be able to get into people's stereos whether we're quarantined or not. So high quality music. I'm working on my voice to be even more flourishing. Like everybody from the shows inspired me. Really high quality video content. And just honestly, just being authentic. Honestly, I spent so much time doing like self love and evolvement, I guess, evolving. So that's important to me too. Continue to build relationships with people like you guys, like build my fan base and just, I don't know, try to be the best version of myself. I'm just trying to be a little bit better every day. Obviously musically, but definitely just personally too, because that'll always shine through. I love what Jules said during the finale. Like, people don't care that you're perfect. People care if you're authentic. And so if I could be the most authentic version of myself, which is hard work because we all wear these masks, right? So taking those masks off and just being real is going to be the best investment I could make in myself. And I would recommend everybody else in who's watching would do the same thing.
Amazing, man. Well, as far as like, your future with being a part of Bachelor Nation, I mean, I'm sure you've been asked, like, if like Paradise were to ever come back, is this something that you'd be a part of? So, never seen it. Yeah. A lot of people said I would be great at it, which made me think that it's a lower caliber show. I don't know, actually. Veronica, what would you think? Listen to your heart, Bachelor in Paradise. Which one is the higher on the totem pole?
That's a great question. I don't know. I would definitely be open to it. I would, because I'd love to go I don't want to say right my wrongs, but I'd love to take the knowledge and wisdom I learned from my foolish behavior on the show and kind of like do it over again. And everybody loves a redemption story. And I'm not saying like I'm going to walk off in the sunset with a magical human being, but that's a possibility that I'm very willing to entertain for sure.
That's definitely the way they're going to portray it to you, is like, this is your redemption arc, dude. Like, get on there. And then they're just going to do the whole, you're back into the maze again. You know how it goes, the Hunger Games. But yeah, man. Well, like, this might be I mean, you don't have to answer, but is there any do you have any crushes on anybody in Bachelor Nation?
Dude, I wish I knew more about Bachelor Nation.
You gotta start creeping now. You gotta start creeping on the different people.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many cute girls that like are into franchise right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, Sai follows all of them.
Yeah, well, you got
just start shooting me in information of all these women.
I got you. I'll tell you which ones you need to go for.
We'll make you a spreadsheet.
Right.
Yeah.
We got you, man. Like, look at us.
What season?
We're creating a whole new like Bachelor in Paradise show right here.
We could start a Bachelor Nation Tinder like app, basically.
That would be so smart,
Actually,
honestly.
there's so many of you guys now.
Are there hundreds of us? Foolish people?
Yes, there's a lot of you guys.
There should be like a reality show dating app, just like for everybody who's been on like a dating show and it didn't work out. Like, how good would that be?
But Brandon, I honestly think, like, you know, I don't think there's anything, like, you can't say anything bad about being on one of those shows because we have a show about that show. So it's like, you know, you're never going to hear anything bad from us. You know, we just.
No judgment about it all. And I love my experience. A lot of people walk away bitter. I was like, yo, you knew what you were getting into. Maybe not to the full extent, but you signed the paper. Like, enjoy it. Like, take what you can from it. I enjoyed it. And I met so many cool people. And yeah, I've been talking to I would never be able to talk to you two had I not been on the show. So it's all been good. It's all been good stuff.
I mean, Veronica does this like segment on her show called the Yikes Moment of the Week. And this week, obviously, has been about, no, don't worry. It wasn't about you.
Not about you.
The Yikes Moment.
I got so nervous.
I bet it was 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
No. It wasn't that bad. You'd be surprised. There's a lot worse things that make us go yikes in the world than you on that show. But Hannah Brown, you know, a huge star in the franchise, you know, did Dancing with the Stars, won it, and is in huge controversy this week. I don't know if you heard about it or not. Dude, yeah, no, she, I guess slipped out saying the N-word while rapping along lyrics on, like, I think Instagram Live.
Instagram Live. She was singing along to Rockstar by B.o.B, but she censored herself from saying other swear words, but she didn't censor the N-word. And then it's been a whole thing.
Yeah, like, I mean, essentially she's in cancel season. If people were still hating on Julia and you, I think they've forgotten about you now because of this.
New hate flavor.
I feel bad about that. I mean, yeah, that's never appropriate. It's unfortunate that she would do that. I would never rap along a song that would have any of those lyrics. But
film yourself and put it out there like snitch.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That's tough. It's tough. I think, unfortunately, we live in a society that's way too overcritical of people and throw a lot of hate. And I can't get behind it. At the same time, there has to be some standards of like love and respect. So I don't know how to feel. I'm probably the worst person to ask that question.
No. I think I didn't want to put you on the spot to like, let's get a soundbite, but it's more of like, how do you now, like, you know, do you think about those things when you're, you know, doing all the things you're going to be doing, you know, to get yourself out there and, you know, how does that come into play?
Yeah, I mean, I've always really, really tried hard to be a noble man, like a gentleman, and I do fail, but I always lead with that. I really want for women to believe that there's good men out there, and unfortunately, you know, I was on a show where I got shown as an asshole. That's really unfortunate. So, but deep inside of my heart, I want to be a gentleman, and I want to be a leader among men, and I want to do that with music. And I have a hard time with hip hop. I lived in West Harlem for 5 years, and I watched these little 8 to 10 or 12-year-old kids walking around singing these lyrics that were like disrespectful to women. They were talking about getting drunk and partying all the time. And I'm like, I think that's cool if you're in a healthy spot where you know it's just entertainment. But when these people are raising that next generation, there's a responsibility to say something of substance, right? So that's kind of been my whole focus as a musician and as an artist, and hopefully as some form of a celebrity, to have that mouthpiece to like lead with love, lead with compassion, empathy, and give people love and hope and courage. Those are all the things I want to do, and I don't think we can do that when we're slandering people. I don't think we can do that when we're talking shit. Yeah. It is fun. Like, don't get me wrong, I love talking some shit.
Oh yeah, we all do.
But it's got to be all in jest and all in fun, and the people around me need to know it's not serious. So I take all that stuff seriously. But I would say we always have to lead with love. If we can love people as much as we need to be loved ourselves, that would make the world a lot better of a place. I think we choose understanding more than you know, throwing hate and pointing blame, which I've done in the past too. So I have grace for that too.
For sure. Well, I think that's a beautiful note to end on here, Brandon. I really do appreciate you. I'm going to give you a round of applause one more time. Guys, give it up for Brandon Mills. Yeah. All right. Brandon, do you want to leave our listeners with where they can find you? And I know maybe drop when you're dropping your single one more time. So
yes, thank you so much for that. Brandon Mills Music on pretty much all the socials. BrandonMillsMusic.com. I'd love for you guys to sign up for my email because then I can send you guys like behind the scenes stuff I do with just my like intimate tribe. And then my single drops May 29th on all the streaming platforms. It's called Glistening, and it's a great song. So we got a lot of hope for it. So please check it out. Please follow me. I would love to be a part of your tribe too. So let me know how it's.
Oh, you're definitely part of the tribe, man. And I hope we can maybe get you back here soon again. And good luck with everything. And we'll definitely be supporting the song and everything you got moving forward. So thanks for the time today, man.
100%.
That was great.
Yeah, that was great, Brandon. That was an incredible interview. Why don't we get into our slapper of the week? Do you want to get into that, V?
Hell yeah.
Nice. Cool. Our slapper of the week. I don't know. We didn't really talk about it too much before the show, but have you heard Moana by G-Eazy and Jack Harlow?
I have. As I feel like I've talked about it before in the show, like G-Eazy is like a problematic crush of mine. He's just slimy and gross, and I love his music. And I definitely listened to this when it came out.
Well, speaking of like, now that we're kind of talking about it, I forgot, but did you see like the rumors of Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes, like riding around in like an Aston Martin, and she's married, but like
They just dropped a music video today.
He did?
Yeah, I think it's called like Bloody Valentine or something like that. So you're hearing it here first. But yeah, I just wanted to let people know because I had heard about it. But this week's slapper of the week is called Moana. I think it's named after that Disney cartoon, right?
Yeah, it's that movie's great. You should watch it. But
okay, I will. But it's really a funny song, and I think everyone's gonna like it. Definitely reminds me of like that West Coast, like booty popping music and stuff. So, without further ado, why don't we get in our slapper of the week? Moana by G-Eazy and Jack Harlow. Let's go.
Slapper of the week. This song slaps.
Slapper of the week, Moana by G-Eazy and Jack Harlow. That one is a fun bop. I love like the way all the things he tries to rhyme with Obama. It's pretty funny. Speaking of Obama, did you hear him speak this past weekend with the HBCU stuff? Like all the graduation celebrations?
No, I did not see that. Surprisingly,
it was pretty. I mean, anytime he speaks, I feel like it's pretty inspirational. It's hard not to kind of like sometimes like read between the lines though and see like the kind of digs he might be saying at the current administration.
I don't think he's that subtle about it.
Well, I mean, in general, just not making those moments about political things and stuff. So, but yeah, it was interesting to see him speak this past weekend, and yeah, that song right there definitely gets me going. It's funny. He said marijuana or something like that.
Yeah.
Funny way to say marijuana, but yeah. So, do you got any shout outs this week, V?
Yeah, I wanted to shout out. This episode is on my brother Vince's birthday, so he's turning 25.
Okay, happy birthday, Vince!
Happy birthday to Vinny. And then I guess I'll give also his girlfriend she also just turned 25, so happy birthday to Tierney. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Tierney. All right, well, my shout out goes out to our homie B Mills, man. Brandon Mills on the show this week. Thank you so much, dude, for coming to talk to us and our listeners and stuff. And that was a great conversation. I had a really good time with him.
Me too.
Yeah, hopefully we can get him on the show again because he was a great guest. Yeah, going into the weekend, Memorial Day weekend right now.
Memorial Day weekend. What does that even mean anymore?
I mean, we're still, I think, trying to get out on some water or something like that. Don't you try? I mean, it might be bad weather, so we might not be able to, but I think it's like it's time to try to taste a little bit of summer, whether it be just jumping in a lake or something.
I mean, yeah, as long as you're like with like your isolation homies and such, but yeah, you know
how it go. But yeah, I just kind of want some barbecue too. It's just what I want, like some barbecue food.
Like some like burgers and hot dogs.
Some dogs and burgers, some.
Yeah, hot dog sounds great right now.
Oh, man. Are you going to be doing any type of celebrating, or do you have any plans? Or are you one of those people that just don't want to tell anybody you have plans? Or
I mean...
You know how it'll go. You know what it's like.
I mean, like, I think I'm going to try to, like, get out there into some sun or something this weekend if we have it. I know it's supposed to be kind of shitty for some of the weekend. And maybe, safely see some friends at a social distance if I can. But yeah, because I think I'm doing, like, a dinner picnic with some pals this weekend, but I think that's my main thing. It's so weird. Like, I kept forgetting. Also, like, it's weird how Memorial Day falls this year, because the last day, like, usually it's like that last weekend of May, but because the Memorial Day's on the last Monday, but because of like how there isn't a last Monday, it's weird. Like, we have a full week of May afterwards still.
You made it sound even weirder right now. So
I know. Well, if you look at a calendar, like, you'll see how it falls differently.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we are actually going into a little long weekend, so that we have to be thankful for. So
yeah, I know both of us get a 4-day weekend. So.
Woohoo! Hell yeah!
Thanks to the company for that one.
Got that email. That was nice.
Yeah.
Guys, catch us next week. Once again, thanks to the homie Brandon Mills for being on the show this week, and make sure you catch us next week for episode 114 of the podcast. We love you guys. It's been Future Bachelor. My name is Sai.
I'm Veronica.
And we'll see you next week, all right? Deuces!
Bye!